All right, so I want to talk about looping. All right, so just a short little thing here. Um, this, I don't talk about this enough, right? In fact, I barely talk about it at all. And it's something, the reason I didn't is because for me it added extra stress to my journey because now I had to learn, how to loop. And I was kind of, I don't know, I was kind of stressed out about it because, I could barely play chords and I could barely, get things going. Like I didn't want to learn or have to worry about the looping thing, like pedals, cables, and ugh. So I tried it and I failed miserably because I found out that the real reason was hello. Oh, I think you might. I just got on, so I think you might be one of the early ones, Barb. But how you doing? I hope all's good. And this might be one for you today too. And I posted a couple, or I'm posting a couple of shorts. I've had to take a break from long videos right now because I lost my ability to do it. My computer died, and I have to get. I'm just doing, what I can, but I've got to get a whole new suite. I've got it for editing videos and stuff. I have nothing other than my phone right now, and I don't want to do the wrong thing. And I'm juggling a bunch of stuff at the moment, and I'm trying to get the research as to what I need to do what I need to do. So I've taken a break from posting committed postings for a while. Although I will be still adding shorts, and I'm going to try to come on live, right, as much as I can, because the reality is everybody has different things to do in the summer. It's just a whole different agenda, so that's why I haven't been posting or coming on live with a schedule. But anyways, what I wanted to, and I don't talk about this enough, is the looping pedal. So anyways, the reason I wasn't good when I tried looping, and you won't be either, and I'll explain it, in a second here. The reason you're not going to be good at it, especially if you do it too soon, is you need to be at that comfort zone with your guitar that you can order a pizza, look out the window and check the weather, right? What's the weather? Oh, is it raining out there, or is that the sun I see coming through? And still play with touch and feel and get those chord progressions going, and the changes are perfect. You don't have to worry about things. Now you can start worrying about looping. So that's why you don't hear me talk about it a lot, because I cater more to people that are still in that early phase of getting these two hands working together, okay? And that's so important, because if you try all this other stuff, and you've heard me say this before, if you try all this fancier stuff too soon, you just don't have the physical talent to do it. And then, like me, it gets in your head, and all of a sudden you think that you're not good, and that you're never going to be any good, and that this isn't for you, and, blah, 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 blah. Well, it's because, again, you need to start from the ground up, build a foundation, and think about it, right? When you play guitar, now if I'm going to be I'm going to do something where I'm always going to be lifting like this, then I'm going to go to the gym and make myself as strong as possible so that I can do my job and do it well. Well, if I want to play guitar, right, it makes sense. I want to play guitar. I'm from Canada. Sorry, I'm missing some of the questions. But if you want to play guitar, then it makes sense that you have to develop the skills that power everything on guitar. If you want to play notes and scales, these two hands. If you want to play, just be a rhythm, then you just need these two hands working together, right? Everything you want to do. You want to play bar chords? No problem. We'll play bar chords. You see what I mean? Like, you've got to have, these two hands have to be working together. So again, it blows me away. So again, I need that oh boy, it's one of those nights. Oh boy, yeah. What an idiot. I'll get rid of this guy. Sorry, people, but every now and then, that's the problem with this stuff. You hit the kiddie section, the schools are out. Where I live, anyways, the schools are out, so you've got kids. You've got kids everywhere, and this is the result. So sorry about that. So anyways, trying things too early. You've got to have that foundation. That is the secret to playing guitar. That's it. Everything else falls into place once you have your guitar foundation. So the point of all this was, don't start looping. I know it's a great tool. Don't start looping until you're at the point in your guitar journey that this is on autopilot, okay? All right, so I'm assuming that that's the case here. And even so, it's still going to be difficult, because now what we have to do is we have to get this leg going, right? This leg has to be on time. We have to start rhythm, because that's what looping is all about, right? So I have a simple looper pedal down here. I'm going to put a simple thing on here. So I'm going to do a C. Now I'm going to hit that pedal right before my downstroke of my C, right? I want it to be seamless. Play 2 bars of that, and we're going to go to a D. Back to the C, and I'm going to hit that button at the same time, or try to, that I started. Now, if I do it right, I should not hear my loop until I stop playing the guitar, because it should be perfect. Here we go. Should be able to play to that. So now we're simulating playing with another guitar player. I have to be responsible. I have to be on time. I have an obligation, I'm accountable. Or I can work on start working on my scales. Or whatever I want to do. Right? Use the looping pedal. This is how you build your chops. The great thing about this guitar player, he doesn't talk back. He does what you tell him. And once you put it, I mean, he'll go all night. Right? All right, so now I got I got something to work with. Right? I can do this. This is a great way to practice just staying in time with another player. So I'm going to get crucified for saying this, but look, timing is so important. Don't get me wrong. It's so important from day one that you learn a sense of timing. 1, 2, Sorry, we're 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Whatever. The timing, right? You got to have timing. Of course, we know that's how songs are put together. 2 measures of G, right? And a 4/4. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 2 measures of G at 4/4. And then I can go to, and how fast I strum depends on the beats per minute. If it's a higher beats per minute, I got to strum faster. So that's how you set that's a song. So we need to have timing. There's no disputing that. But what I'm saying is, all right, timing when you're playing with somebody who's also a human being, who also may stray in and out of timing. Remember, you're not playing with a machine, right? You are when you loop, you are when you play to a backing track, you are when you play with a professional musician. But you get three dudes drinking beer in a garage somewhere with their guitars. Nobody is sticking to time. So the important thing to me is the time you should be able to adapt to someone else's playing, regardless of the situation and the time. Because if I have perfect timing, and I'm proud of that, let's say, which I don't, but if I did, and I'm proud of it, and that's my thing, that's what I'm known for, and I'm playing 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and someone or the other 2 guys are kind of freewheeling it, and they're late, and they're early, and they're whatever, well, look, there's 2 courses of action. Stay the course, perfect timing, and try to lure those rogues in, right? Which, to be honest, is probably not going to happen, because if they were able to keep up with you, they would already have kept up with you, right? They wouldn't be all over the place, right? So, that's important to know. So the other option is, what can I do? Play to them. If they're out of time and they're drifting, drift with them. Hey, I'm just saying. Now, take that for what it's worth. But again, this is another example of we get so caught up in having to be a certain way that, we have to remain free and easy up here. Is this part of the Guitar Foundation? We've got to be comfortable, confident, right? We can't be thinking about all this stuff. If we're thinking about it, it's too late. That's the general line I hear with a lot of things, right? If you've thought about it and you're already too late or whatever, okay. So, look, that's my thing on timing. But anyways, what we're going to do here, we can use this. All right, so let's say you're doing little gigs somewhere, right? And you're playing a cover song. And remember, songs are just chord progressions, just exactly like we just did there. So let's say, just for example, and the reason I'm doing all these generic progressions, someone once asked me why I just play GCD or AEB or AED or DAG or whatever. I try to be as nondescript as possible for different reasons, because everybody's taste in music is different. So if I'm playing a certain song that I think is going to motivate someone, and someone else may have never heard the song, care about it, right? So, and copyright, that's the other thing. Copyrights here are really weird, and they just cause confusion and problems. So, I don't bother. I try to keep it as blah as possible. So anyways, we play, let's say you're playing a song, and it's G, C, D, or whatever, okay? Now, if you're playing a little gig, then what you can do, you can either have fancy loopers where you can pre-loop something. I wouldn't recommend it because it may come out differently at the venue for some reason. But you can make it on the spot. So for example, let's say I'm playing a song that has like just a simple groove, like right? So yeah, that's what we'll do. So we'll do C, G, A minor, and we'll put that on a loop. C, right, now I'm going to peel away, see how close we are. See, now I got something to play with. I got something to play along with. Got another guitar player, right? Or I'm doing a gig, and that's my song. So as I've recorded this loop, right? Now I can stop it, sing and play on. Now, if I want to do a little solo, I can do a... Or I could have played over and then cut the loop. Either way, I just wanted to give you an idea of how else you can use looping pedals. Now, I wouldn't use a pedal like this for a live performance. This is what they call a ditto looper. It's just a one little unit thing, one button on it. But it's it is fantastic. The only issue is I can't store any memories, so I'd have to create everything on the go, which isn't always that bad. But, you know, you got a lot to think about at a gig or playing in front of people. It's one more thing you got to worry about, right? And, you know, there's that one button, so it's double tap to stop, and that can be a hassle. And, you know, there's just little things. So if you're going to do this in a gig or in front of people, you'd want to probably the next level type of looper up, like you know, I know Boss has a couple that have memory slots and things like that. Some of them have two tap buttons, so they have a separate stop button. You just have to hit it once. That's really handy to have. You just don't want to be playing around. So that's how I would use a looper now. I didn't use it in my journey because for the reasons I said. When I tried it, it was just too much for me too soon. And I just didn't have the skills to do it. So, all right, so let's do a loop, all right? Now, I'm just going to clear this one. Again, the strategy is, think about playing. We want to create a mirrored seamless track. Now, in order to do that, all we have to do is we have to start the loop wherever we start it. But the trick is we have to finish the loop, in other words, hit stop, at the exact same spot. So, the easiest way to determine an exact spot, right, in my opinion, is, I mean, you could do it in between chords, right? C, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3. So you could go C, 2, 3, and then start the loop and let it go for 2 before you know what I mean? As long as but that's, to me, complicated. So you want to start the loop, for me, right before this, right before the pick hits the strings. That's when you want to get that. Oh, Von Gray, what's that? An MXR looper? Yeah. Now, as long as, but does it have storage? Like you can preset a couple of loops, like sit here and put them into storage or anything like that? Does it have just the one tap button as well? I'm sure it does at that price, but you're right. Those are all good. Would be good loopers. I can't comment on if it would be good for a gig, but you know, I'm sure it would be, you know, pretty good. But yeah, that's exactly. And then it gives you versatility. But I would personally, I would go with a sort of a better unit where I have a little more control over maybe other things like input, volume, or maybe there's effects on there, built-in drum pedal, for example, so you could add a little percussion to your loops, you know, that kind of stuff. But right now I'm using the Ditto looper. If you want to Google it, it's a very popular, it's a single little unit. I think it cost me about 110, 120 bucks where I live. And it's been great, right, for what it is. And it allows me to do this is just a great way to build everything, like your coordination, your ears, because you're listening for which note sounds best. It's only 2 chords you're playing, okay? So I'm playing, just in case you're wondering why am I playing that, that's an open G. So I want to see how that sounds over a C and a D chord. All right, here's my C. There's the D there, obviously. Yeah, now I got the, so I know when the change is. Right? Now, I wouldn't use that G, it's too low. Yeah, I'll mention that, sure. What I'll do is I'll, do I have a metronome? I might have a metronome here that I can use. So anyways, let me just finish with the looping just quickly. So we'll do a little bit more after and show you how I use it to practice, okay? But I just wanted to talk about the basics of looping. I know you can't see what I'm doing, so it's a moot point, but I think you get the fact that you have to establish an exact starting and stopping point, no matter where that is in the progression. But if you do that, you will have a perfect, seamless loop. Now on one of those, it wasn't seamless. There was a little jump because I didn't stop it or start it before I stopped it or started it. It could be just a hair, but that's enough to break that seamless chain kind of thing, right? So we want to try to get that. And that's it. I mean, I could show you, you know, yeah, we can loop, we can layer as well. That all depends on your looper. Some of the things that you have to look for, aside from what we earlier were talking about, is how much memory. So some of them are unlimited amount of overdubs, but they can only total X amount of hours or minutes or whatever. I think this one is unlimited overdubs. You can't do more than a 5-minute constant. Like I couldn't play a whole song over 5 minutes and just let it loop, right? If that makes sense. But that doesn't really come into play, because that's not the whole idea of a looper, isn't to play usually a whole song. It's just to play a small progression so that you can either solo or work on your strumming, right? Oh yeah, 5 minutes is oodles of time. So, all right, so what the question was, so we have a loop, if I remember correctly, was C to D. And now we're talking about layering. So yeah, so I could go in and I could start doing something like, there's my C, there's my D, there's my C, there's my D. I could something like this. Hear it? It's only coming around the once, right? But that's called an overdub. Now I can get rid of that so all I got to do is hold down the button, and that should be gone now. Now I'm back to my CD, okay? So I could do something like this. Hear it over top? Now I'm just being random just to show you that how it works, right? I'm not trying to. So that's what he means by layering. So now if we were really thinking about this and we wanted to do something, you know, we would do something maybe like this. again, on the good ones, we can adjust the volume of the tracks, like individually and all that kind of stuff. But right now we might do something like this. So let's get rid of this. We might do something like this, right? We might do something like, okay. I messed that up. Sorry, let's try that again. C to D. Right, here we go. All right, so now we've got our C to D going, right? Now we could do something like we got a little backbeat going. See how we can build, right? So that's what he means by layering. And so, for example, if we wanted to do it on this, we got this thing going on, right? Do-do. Now, if we had a vocal mic, we could be doing like, hey, 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 right? We could be looping vocals. We could be doing a lot of things. But generally, what you would do at this point is you would play along. And everything's got to sound right. Is everything in tight, like... You want to work on your bar chords, right? Right? Whatever, you know, it's watch out, Barb, you're gonna get... Oh, sorry, I thought that was... Oh, I thought that was Barb saying stiff. I thought you were saying you're stiff, but no, it's a guy named Bob saying so stiff, loosen up. I'm not sure if he's talking to me or whatever. Well, you know, I'm also doing a video. If I appear stiff, I don't really mean to be. I'm really just more trying to play the way I would as a beginner. That's what this channel's all about. I'm not sure what you meant in the comments, so it's all good. All right, so anyways, we could be working on our bar chords, and yeah, those, if you're talking about those C's and D's, they could have been a bit stiff because I don't play bar chords. People know that about me, but I'm giving you an example, like at home, what you could do by layering these loops, right? So again, this is all basic, and it's done with a one-button looper called a ditto looper. You know, it gives us some versatility. I can take away the last track, right? But you know, only the one time. So it has some limitations, but it's a great practice tool. Right now, again, it can be basic, like we started out. We just did a basic 2 chords. We could do, you know, we could do something like here. We could do something like this, right? We could do. What I used to do is take what's a real famous chord progression that comes up in a million songs, right? I mean, there are a few. If you study the music, like you know, the structures of the songs, you're going to see that there's repetitious patterns of chord progressions, and this would be one of them in no particular order. there's all kinds of combinations that those 4 chords make. So let's pick, let's pick one. Let's go, okay? And we'll put this on the loop. See how I did? Now, you should be able to play along as you were. Right? You can just sort of improvise and try to make up things, whether you're trying to bring something out of your head onto paper or you're just freewheeling. And, that kind of leads me into something. So we have this little thing here and we're working off the G. That's the first chord, and technically this would be the key of G. The chords are from the key of G. So there's my G. Now I'm going to make my 4-note box, remember? Here's my 4-note box. Now, one more little tidbit that we've been talking about lately. We got to name these notes. So we're in the key of G, we're in the chord of G, right? So we're going to play notes from the G scale. So G would be 1, just like we number chords in a key, we're going to number the notes. G is 1. I always tell you to make a box, right? So 2 frets up would be the next note in the musical alphabet. A, G, A. Then we go under the G, so 1, 2, 4. Why would this be 4 right under there? Because what happened to 3? Why isn't this 1, 2, 3, 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds good. Well, because we base everything off the major scale, right? So 1 is the A note, is the first note in A. 2 is B. Now we need a C for number 3. It's actually a C sharp because there's no B sharp. We have to go up 2. Remember the formula 2 2 1 2 2 2 1? So we start off in at the root, right? So in this case G. So G is 1. A is 2. Now remember the shape for the major scale, right? So the next note that I need, G, A, would be a B, and it's going to be right here. There's that shape for the major scale. There's your major scale. Right? So there's your shape of the major scale. So we number those notes. So 1 is G, A is 2, right? 3 is B, 4 is C. You can hear it working now as I'm plucking them against this backing track. And there's my D. So we number them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when someone says play the 1, 4, 5, it always sounds good. That's kind of what I told you with the box. So it's 3/4 of that box. So in G, I say make a box. So there's the 1, right? There's the 4. Always under the 1 is the 4. And 2 frets up is the 5. So we have 1. This is just playing that 1, 4, 5, 4. Right? That's how simple this could be. Okay, it's going to sound a lot better than what I'm doing, but... Right? 4, 5. There's my 1. So now, if I go to another G somewhere here, that becomes my 1. 1, 4, 5. Same pattern, just lower. 1 and the 5, you hear it? Sound great. That's your power chord when played together. That's your G power chord, G5. Okay? So that's the relevance of those numbers. So 1, 4, and 5 sound the best. Now I can end my riff. You hear that? I can end my riff. I don't have to come back to the G like we always say. Go, right? So we go. Come back to that root, like start to finish. Absolutely. But we can also do this. We can end it on that 5. Now what does that mean, the 5? Well, G is the 1. G, A, B, C, D. G is the 1. There's your D, 5. There's your power chord. Right? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. So that's the relevance of the numbers. There's numbers everywhere. Not to be confused with the formula 221, 2221. That's regarding frets on your guitar. Right? So in this case, if we were in the key of G, right? And someone say, hey, Ray, what's the fourth note of G? Okay. G, go up 2. A, go up 2 more. B, and then 1, because that's the 221. So the fourth note, 1, 2, 3, 4 of G is C. And look where it is on the fretboard. There's the G. The 4 is always under the 1. Okay? Always. So if we're looking for this note, which is an A, then the 4th is always underneath it. And that will be what note? A, B, C, D. The 5th is always under the root note, right? So now we know the relationship. So if my root is here, and that's an E, then I know that the 4th is E, A, B, C. I'm sorry, E, F, G, A, right? The musical alphabet. So there's my E, there's my 4th, and of course 2 frets up on a guitar is 1, so there's my 5th. 1, 4, 5. E, A, B. E, A, B. So those are the 1, 4, 5 notes in the E scale. Now in the key of E, those would also be the 1, 4, 5 chords. They're exactly the same. So if someone says, play the 1, 4, 5 in the key of E, you're going to play an E major chord, okay? You're going to play an A major chord. You're going to play a B major chord. And then in the format of maybe the 12-bar blues, or I don't know what, whatever the progression of the chords are, you'll play the notes. So if it goes E, A, B, B, E, A, that's the chord structure, then that's the note structure as well. They mirror each other. So if you know the 1, 4, 5 in the notes, you know the 1, 4, 5 of the chords in the key. So that's a good thing to know. It sounds simple, but a lot of people don't know that. I played for 5, 6 years before I knew that and what the relevance was. Okay? Hello, Germany. All right, so that's, again, using a looper to practice and to develop your skills, develop your ear, develop your, whatever you're working on. Now, if it's just strumming, we've already done that as an example, right? So let's put a new progression on. And I do that all the time. So when I started looping, when I could do it, I would not leave one progression on for the, an hour of practice. I would be constantly forcing myself to erase what I did, no matter how good the loop was, and make another one, right? That's important because it gets you doing it, right? So in this case, let's do E, A, and where do we want to go there? We want to just keep it simple and do a D. We'll do it. Let's do it in key of A. So A would be 1, D would be 4. Okay, so any Johnny Cash song. Okay, D, right, or A. So I develop a rhythm, beats per minute, like a tempo kind of thing. Once I'm comfortable, hit that. Now we have that 12-bar blues with a turnaround on our looping pedal. Now we can just have a little fun, okay? So we're in A. There's my 4-note box using this A right here. Now remember that when we go to the 5th, which is the D. So when we went to that 5th chord in the 12-bar blues, so remember, A is the 1 chord. When we played our, that's the main chugging along, right? Then we went to the 4 chord, which was D. Back to that, the 1. Then we threw in that 5. 4. So when we get to that part, when we're playing along with it, we're playing off the A, remember? So there's the A. Okay, so here's my 4-note box. Remember? 1, 2, 4, 5. And the 5th of A is what? A, B, C, D. So there's your D. Right? In your chord progression, in your 12-bar blues, you go from that, all that, you do all the A's, and then you go, so 16 A's, and you go to 8 D's. So this is your A, D. So when you're soloing over that, here's my A. Stay, I can stay. Now we go to the D. There's your solo right there. Now we're going to fill it in with some around notes, and that's where shapes like the super shape that I showed you in a short video, and I think we did it live. So off the super shape, here's the super shape off of A, right? So we got that box. Got that. Now we got this. That shape. And the rest, whatever you do with that, it's up to you. Wherever you go with that, I'm just being very basic, right? I get criticized a lot for that, but I'm not here to just showing you, because most of you are at that level, is at our level, is showing you note for note, no matter what it sounds like. Make sure you understand what I'm doing is more important to me than, hey, look at me, and whether you think I'm good or not, or how fast I am. When I was learning, I couldn't learn anything that way. People would get on there and they'd start, jumping around. Right? And I'm like, what are you doing? Wait, slow down. I need to know what you're doing. So, and then others, wish I would shut up, but what are you going to do? There's those notes again. There's the box. Back in. And you just match up, which I didn't there, but you match up to the root to make it sound right or not, you know, and that's it, right? So then what we could do this in all different A's. So we can go to this A here, right, and do the same thing. So let's start in this A. Here we go. Right, now we can go here. You know, like, it's got to cover more real estate here, right? Because the frets are farther apart. So, but yeah, that's it. Now we could do the same here. There's a nice little thing here. Listen to it, listen to it. Like, I didn't like that. I didn't like that note there. I didn't like landing on it like that. And that's what practice is about. And that's what using your ears is all about, right? You gotta, you know. Yeah, slow is good. Hey, Jeff. No, I know that. I'm not for everybody, but you know, that's how I wanted to learn it. It wasn't out there when I tried to use YouTube and whatever else. It was YouTube at the time. I think I did a bit of Instagram, but I found most of my stuff on YouTube. All right, so once again, we've got a chord progression. It happens to be a 12-bar blues, and it's in A. Yes, there are so many ways we could approach this. Some people will say, oh, just play the A major chord because those are the major chords from the key of A. And they're absolutely right. And you can absolutely play the A major absolutely. Do that. You can play note runs starting in A. Off the octave to the next octave. Play that A. You can jump around, like, you know, but it's all about that box. Now sometimes this might not be the only box. Right, with A. We could do this. Slide into the A. There's the fourth of A. Right, which would be the fifth if I was in G. You see how it's all connected? So if I was playing in G, there's my G. My fifth would be here, that's my D. Right? Now if I'm in A, which is here, D becomes the fourth. That's the relevance of those numbers, right? That's the relevance. And that's why it helps you. You don't have to know this, but some people get obsessed with this, and that's not good. So that's kind of what I mean, is that if the piece of paper, I go places, people play, and they spread out all these papers, and they got this chart here, and that chart there, and this tab here. Look, there's nothing wrong with that. But eventually, you gotta play from here and here. So here's an example. What's this again? What was this that I put on here? I put A, oh, that's it, okay. So look, we could buy the book. Say I got a piece of paper and it says, okay, Ray, play along A, and then go to the 4, right? So our little riff will be, and then go over to the 5. Got it? Yeah. Fine. But what if I like this better? That little into this note number 2, which isn't on the paper. So now certain people, they get all messed up. They go, oh my God, I'm terrible. I messed that all up. I shouldn't have used that 2 note. What am I doing? The book said 1, 4, 5. I'm being very dramatic here, but it's to make a point that it doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters is that it sounds right and feels right. Remember that. Both ways are good. Right? And you should be working on what look, you guys know, I'm no guru here, right? I'm still learning and playing myself, and will be probably the rest of my life. But always be working on, again, your timing. Time to that, time to him, time to her, time to your band, time to your backing track. That's the most important thing. Because, again, when you play to a machine, it's always going to be perfect. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you could be too perfect, and you've woven it in that you're just perfect. And then you go and play with 2 other people or 3 other people one night, and they're not perfect. Right? Things get a little bit wavy. Well, you need to have the ability to adapt. That's all I'm saying. Don't be so rigid. Don't be so down on yourself. Rigid is good. Like perfect. Can't go wrong. But being able to adapt is much more important. My biggest problem is I don't play anymore with other people enough. And when I was first starting out, I was around all kinds of people playing guitar all the time. Problem was I wasn't good enough, or I didn't understand what they were doing. Like, I didn't know how to play with someone, right? So if somebody was playing a song, I wouldn't know what to do. So my thought was, if I couldn't play exactly the way they're playing, then I shouldn't play because I'm not going to sound good. So because of that, I never developed that part of things until way, way later. So I could never, and the only way I could play with, let's go jam. Well, a lot of people don't even know what that means. And a lot of people aren't able to jam, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, so for me, we'd get together, they're friends or whatever, and so, there's a comfort level, and it was about songs. So someone would break out a Neil Young tune. Now, if I didn't know that song, I couldn't play along. Because I didn't understand things like, well, what key is it in? So, okay, what can I do to enhance this song? Can I play a little lick here and there? And the answer is yes. You don't have to match people note for note. We do that in practice a lot, using a looper or backing track like we did earlier on, and we practice our strumming and we develop timing and this and that, but that's it. Doesn't mean we have to play like that all the time. In fact, a lot of times, here, let's just see if this, here's a professional backing track. This is from Simple Jam Tracks here on YouTube. It's C, A minor, D minor, G. Right, so look, this is from the key of C. So we go to the C, feel it out. 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. 4, 5, 4. 2, 1, 2, 4, 5, 5. There's your basic box. Now, I'm not playing note for note. I'm not playing along. Just trying to add something. What did I just play? I played that super shape. There's that box. And the little tail, 2 frets over it. Now up again. I can almost do no wrong, as long as I stay in the groove of the song, the timing. Like, I can do no wrong. There's just different versions, right? I could, I could slide. Now again. Slide back. Slide back. I can't do any wrong. It's all gonna sound okay. It's all gonna sound good. Just certain ways. Now what I'm doing now, look, I get people go, oh man, that sucked, that was terrible, what I'm trying to do here is I'm developing my ear, I'm developing my fingers, touch, what things are supposed to sound like. I'm working on making sure I maybe fret the notes as close to that fret wire as possible. I'm doing all kinds of things so that when I am out and about and someone gives me a guitar and says, hey, you want to play along? I hear you play a bit of guitar, and they start playing something like this, I can actually have the ability to say, okay, no problem, let's do something. Right? We lost it here at the thing, but, right? So I could sit there and go, right? So that's the basic here. That's what we're doing. This is So to answer your questions, yeah, developing your fingers, right? You got to get them moving. You got to get the dexterity. You got to get the speed. You don't have that when we start out. When I first started playing notes, and that was a little too much for me, like it was, and you hit them in the wrong spot and you get buzzy notes and stuff like that. So everything takes a while. And this is just part of the process of training everything, your ears, making you feel comfortable, making you less dependent on tabs and sheets and protocol and everything else. There's nothing wrong with that, and please don't get me wrong. But don't be afraid to, the heck with what the sheet says, right? Where we see, yeah. So we can just move around, just repeat those same chords, feel the music, rely on our ear. That's all, right? I don't know, I guess that's all on a piece of paper somewhere. I've used chord charts, of course, looking for chord structures of songs or keys of songs, absolutely, but don't rely on it. Don't depend on it. And it doesn't take much. It just takes some time every day just to start learning the notes on your board, start understanding how chords are made, start understanding, things like the relevance of the frets, that 2-2-1. Or the major scale, so that you can identify notes. So if I said, what are the notes of the F scale? The F scale, all right, so use that formula to find it. So we'll find an F here, right? 2-2-1, 2-2-2-1. There's your formula. That's all you have to remember. Now that 2-2-1, 2-2-2-1 refers to the frets, not to be confused with when you learn your minor pentatonic and they go 5-7, 5-8, 5-7, whatever. That's the different number. So, and then again, the 1-4-5 numbers of the chords and the keys, well, those are different numbers altogether. So that's why I never recommend learning your scales 5-7, 5-8, 5-8, 5, whatever. Don't. Learn them by the notes. You're in A, you're playing an A, a C, a D, and an E, right? A G and an A. Like, learn the notes. Don't 5-7, 5, because if you know the notes, you'll know where they are. You can find them elsewhere. You can't find a 5-7 somewhere else. So here I am looking for a 5-7. Like, what do? It doesn't exist, but the notes exist, right? So once I figured that out, that helped me a lot. Me, right? And I'm sure some of you too. So those numbers are different. So to find the notes of the F scale, we go to an F, and we go 2-2-1, 2-2-2-1. So F, we go up 2. That would be a G. So the notes are F, G. Another 2 would be an A, right? So we have from the F is 1, the G, to the A. Now we got to go 1. That'll be B flat. So F, G, A, B flat, and then we repeat 2, 2, 2, 1 this time. So we go 2, right? 2, 1. Okay, so that's how you find the notes in a scale. You 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. So F, G, A, B flat. Then from B flat, it's 2, 2, 2, 1. So B flat to would be D flat to E flat, right? That's how it would go. And then to F. Or to E, sorry. to end it. Oh, wait, sorry. I got confused. So F. So G is 2. A is 2. A sharp or B flat is the 1. Then we go 2, 2, 2. E. That's the E. And then the 1 to the F. Right? So that's what that 2, 2, that's the relevance of that. That's a whole different ball game than the 1, 4, 5 note or the 1, 2, 4, 5 note or whatever. That's notes within the scale. So now we know the F. So if I said, let's play the 1, 4, 5 notes in F, we would play the 1, right? And this was the 2, 3, 4. So we would play this note, and this note. F, right? B flat, B. Or, sorry, F, right? The 1. Now the 4 note would be the B flat, and then the 5 note would be the C. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. Okay? That's the relevance. If you could do the same with any key and any scale, any whatever. So if you want to find the 4 chord in the key of E, go to an E note, right? So there's an E note right here, and go E. And what's the 4th of E? It's right here. That's an A. And what's the 5th? A B. So the chords in E would be E is the 1, 4 is A, and B is 5. It's the same. Okay. So really that's about it for this week, folks. I just wanted to talk about looping because I never talk about looping because, again, just to surmise, looping, you need skills to loop. And when I first started it, I didn't have the skills, didn't have my guitar foundation. I couldn't even use my left hand to hit on time because it was different and I didn't know, and I froze and I didn't know what to do. It takes a while, okay? So, and that's when I came back to loop, when I had this guitar found. It still took a little while to get that foot and to get it sounding right. I've been doing it for a long time and I still mess up loops, right? I messed up one just a while ago that didn't have the exact seamless loop to it, whether it's 2 chords or 10 chords, right? So don't get up on that. We talked about the notes and what the relevance of, like, the 1, 4, 5 notes and the box that I ask you to play. What am I actually asking you to play? Well, you're playing the 1, 2, 4, 5, where in the scale 1, 2, the next note would be 3, and that would be here. There's that major scale pattern, right? So that would be C, D, E, F, G. That's your major scale, right? And the pattern. So that's the relevance. So when we play 1, 4, 5, we play 1, 4, 5. We ignore the 2 and we ignore the 3. That's the relevance of the numbers of the notes. Anyways, I just thought, and it's really handy to know. So, all right, everybody. Remember, I know it's summer. We're not doing a lot right now, but we need to make time to work on your strumming, whatever level you're at. But at the lower levels, the earlier journey, we always got to be working on. I'm working with someone right now privately that has limited use of a couple of fingers. And we are working on, how we can achieve goals of playing songs and just enjoying our guitar with the use of only the 2 fingers. So we're playing our chords a little differently. We're having to maybe in some cases get 3 strings with 2 fingers, okay? We're playing 7s instead of full. So in other words, I'm playing an A minor 7 and I could play it this way. Instead of the traditional A minor, we're kind of playing it like this or even like that. And same with E. Get an E7 there instead of a full E because there's no, I can't use these two fingers. So the sounds and the voicings that we're getting from two-finger chords are really cool right now. So again, you know, you can play your guitar any way you want. Any way you want. There's no, it's just, don't think that you got to play like him and her and this person, that person, or me or anybody. You're going to develop your own style. I did. I kind of, without even thinking about it, I didn't sit down going, okay, you know, this is the way I'm going to strum and this will be my go-to kind of approach and rhythm and all that. Like, it just came. You know, I never thought I would end up playing the guitar like this. Who thought when I started out all this that I would end up, when I pick up my guitar and I just want to have some fun, take a look at my girlfriend, she's the only one I got, not much of a girlfriend, never seem to get a lot. That's my go-to, right? Just strumming with my fingers, using some nails, some flash when I want it. I would have never thought that's what I would have been when I started out, pick in hand, right? That was a big gain for me. And I'm doing it harsh on purpose because that's how I was. That's how we all are. But that was a big game when I broke the 1, 2, 3, 4 mold, right? So I did a 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. Change on that. 2, 3, 4. That was huge for me, right? That kind of opened a gate, right? So again, this is all about developing that foundation before we can move on. So enjoy your summer, but remember, we got to keep strumming. We got to keep working on our chords. We got to keep building our library. If you know 3 chords, you got to learn a 4th. Okay? If you know 2 chords, you got to add that 3rd. If you are a good strummer with 1 strumming pattern, you got to add a 2nd strumming pattern. You got to work on things a little differently. You got to build your library. And in doing so, you're forming and continuously sharpening your foundational skills, the left hand, the right hand, the ear, and the brain. And when you get to that point where this is just, you don't even have to think about it. You're there. That's the secret to the guitar, is that foundation. Now, once you're there, you can go anywhere you want. Power chords, bar chords, triads, scales, modes. You can do anything you want because you have the ability. You're still going to be a beginner. It's still going to take you, just because you have a foundation, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to, you know, come right in here and say, oh, let's rip off, let's do some C triading, or, you know, like, let's go play this scale. Like, that doesn't mean you're going to, you still got to, you know, but we're talking hours instead of weeks or months. We're talking literally overnight, hours, 30 minutes. I can learn a song in 30 minutes. If I have to play a song, hey, wait a minute, you can't. Oh, okay, so let me see it, figure it out, and an hour later I'm playing the song, right? That used to take me weeks to do, if not more. So that's what happens when you develop a foundation. Hey, let's learn some triads on the first 3 strings. Oh, okay, well, what am I looking at here? Well, here are the shapes you can use. The next thing you know I got a D shape, and if I move it here, okay, I have a guitar foundation. I can make that shape, okay. got a good strumming thing going. You can't do that as a beginner. You just can't. You could maybe do parts of it. You could maybe have no problems getting D down, right? You might be able to, you might know where the appropriate fret is. You may not, you know. You may be a half-decent strummer, but to have all of that as a beginner, you don't have that as a beginner. So without that, you're trying to do this, and you've only been playing guitar a few months, and you're trying to do something like, you know, looks so simple, but it's not. Learn little walk-ups and walk-downs into your open chords, no problem. You'll have that in 20 minutes guaranteed, once you've built up your guitar foundation. That's a fact. I mean, you know, like, what do I know? I don't know much about, you know, teaching and all the right etiquette and protocol of teaching. I just know what worked for me, and I knew I couldn't do that until I could. I knew I had a hard time playing bar chords until I could. You know, I knew nothing other than 5/8, 5/7, 5/7, and I only knew how to do it, and I didn't know the notes. I didn't know how to use the scale. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew nothing about it. Now I do. Until I did, right? And how did it all click? Well, it didn't click until I had this guitar foundation. I had that left hand right. Soon as I'm able to do this stuff, know where all my fingers are, know what, you know, where's my root here? What am I doing? Oh, there's my D, there's my C, there's my C root. Once I knew what was going on, then all I had to do was perfect it, get that right hand smooth, and you know, until then, yeah, you know, I don't know. It just comes one day, you know, just as a result of probably, you know, hundreds and maybe even for a lot of us thousands of hours of doing this. Finally, one day, it all just kind of comes together, and you just realize that I can play these things with minimal mistakes, and I'm getting, you know, better and better and better. And anyways, all right, everybody, we'll see you soon, okay? You can still communicate any comments you want, whatever. I will still be posting some shorts. I am gonna do another full-length video soon, but I will be, you know, still shorts and stuff, and I still will be coming live. It just won't be on a set schedule until the fall. All right, see you later. Not gonna happen by the end of the day. Well, you're out of here. You say you're out of here, but you hung around. But I don't know what your problem is. It's just a beginner's channel here. That's all we do here is we deal with beginners. So I'm not really sure what your issue is. Is it to say that you are the best? You're the best. You're the best guitar player. We already acknowledge that. No problem. All right. Wow.